Something very strange is happening behind the scenes in Denver right before rookie minicamp begins, and I truly believe most fans still haven't realized how important these moves could become for the future of this roster. One of these players might end up being just a fun off-season story that disappears quietly in a few weeks. But the other one? There are people inside football circles who genuinely believe the Broncos may have stolen a player that never should have gone undrafted in the first place. And when you start connecting all the dots, it raises a massive question about what Sean Payton and the front office may already be planning for this team moving forward. Because let me tell you something right now, teams do not accidentally recruit certain players this aggressively unless they already see a role for them in the future. And after hearing everything surrounding these minicamp additions, Broncos country should absolutely be paying attention. But before we dive into all the details, make sure you already hit that like button if you truly believe the Denver Broncos are building something special for the future. And I want every optimistic Broncos fan to comment this right now down below. Go Broncos! 2026 will be our comeback season. Now let's get straight into this because rookie minicamp suddenly became way more intriguing than most people expected. The first big story revolves around E.J. Warner, the son of legendary quarterback Kurt Warner, getting his opportunity with the Broncos at minicamp. And honestly, this is one of those NFL stories that immediately grabs your attention because of the history attached to it. Kurt Warner went from being undrafted and working a grocery store job to becoming a Super Bowl champion and one of the most respected quarterbacks the game has ever seen. Now his son is walking into the same kind of uphill battle trying to earn a place in the league. But here's what makes this situation even more interesting. Kurt Warner himself reportedly believes Denver gives EJ a better chance to compete for a roster opportunity than Kansas City did after the Chiefs also brought him in recently for camp work. That immediately raises questions about how the Broncos truly feel about the depth behind Bo Nix. Because even though the quarterback room already includes Bo Nix, Jarrett Stidham, and Sam Ehlinger, there has been nonstop smoke recently about possible movement at the bottom of that room. Sean Payton is extremely demanding when it comes to quarterbacks protecting the football, and that's where things become complicated for E.J. Warner. The production is there. Over 11,000 passing yards in college. Around 70 touchdowns. Those numbers jump off the page immediately. But the turnovers are impossible to ignore too. More than 20 interceptions in his final season and around 50 interceptions across his college career is the type of stat that will make Sean Payton pay very close attention during every single rep at minicamp. Still, there's one thing about E.J. Warner that absolutely stands out when you watch him throw the football, that release is lightning fast. Seriously, the ball explodes out of his hands almost instantly. There's no wasted motion at all. You could tell he grew up around elite quarterback mechanics because his release speed might honestly be the biggest strength he brings into camp. In today's NFL, fractions of a second matter when edge rushers are flying toward you, and quarterbacks who could process quickly and release the ball immediately always get attention from coaching staffs. Now realistically, Broncos country understands this could simply be a camp arm situation for rookie minicamp and training camp depth. But if the Broncos make another move later in the offseason involving the quarterback room, suddenly E.J. Warner becomes a much more fascinating developmental project to monitor. And knowing Sean Payton, if he sees traits he likes, he won't hesitate to keep evaluating a player deeper into camp. But the second move is the one that honestly might carry much bigger implications for the roster. And that's undrafted cornerback Brent Austin choosing Denver over multiple NFL teams after the draft process. This one really caught people's attention because Austin reportedly had serious interest from all over the league, and yet he chose to walk into one of the strongest secondaries in football. That decision alone tells you something. When you study Brent Austin's background, you start understanding why so many evaluators were shocked he even went undrafted. Some scouts reportedly viewed him as a top 100 talent. Others had him inside their top 50 players during parts of the evaluation process. His coverage grades were outstanding, especially in press-man coverage situations, and his instincts consistently show up on tape. The Broncos may have found an absolute steal here. Austin played with aggression, confidence, and elite ball skills throughout college. One of the biggest highlights people keep bringing up is his incredible 81-yard interception return touchdown, but it's not just the interception numbers. It's how quickly he closes space, how aggressively he attacks routes, and how natural he looks when the ball is in the air. On several plays, he honestly looks more like the receiver than the actual receiver does. The biggest concern around him is size and weight. At around 5 feet 11 inches and roughly 180 pounds, many evaluators viewed him as undersized, especially for certain NFL matchups. That's probably the main reason he slipped out of the draft entirely. But Sean Payton's staff clearly sees something worth investing in, and the fact Austin willingly chose Denver over other opportunities may be the most interesting part of this whole story. Because think about it for a second. Why would a talented undrafted cornerback choose a crowded Broncos secondary unless he truly believes there's a path to making this roster? What makes this entire situation even more exciting for Broncos country is that rookie minicamp is usually where hidden stories begin to reveal themselves. Every year there's at least one player nobody expected who suddenly forces the coaching staff to pay attention, and this year it really feels like Brent Austin could become that guy. The moment you start looking deeper into the numbers in the film, it becomes obvious why so many scouts were frustrated that he slipped into undrafted territory. This is not some random camp body coming in just to help complete practice reps. The Broncos are bringing in a cornerback who reportedly dominated in coverage situations, showed elite instincts with the football in the air, and played with the kind of confidence that defensive coordinators absolutely love. When you hear about his 25 pass breakups and the way evaluators consistently praised his ability to disrupt routes, you begin to understand why this could quietly become one of the smartest undrafted pickups Denver has made in years. And honestly, this could say a lot about how the Broncos front office views the future of the secondary. We already know there are contract situations hanging over several defensive backs on this roster, and teams are always planning 1 or even 2 years ahead. Sean Payton and the Broncos front office know they cannot keep everybody forever, especially if younger players continue developing and eventually demand bigger contracts themselves. So when a talented undrafted defensive back specifically chooses Denver despite a crowded room, that immediately raises eyebrows. Because players and agents talk. Coaches recruit these undrafted free agents hard after the draft ends. And many times, those conversations include future opportunity. It would not be surprising at all if the Broncos coaching staff told Brent Austin directly that they see a legitimate pathway for him here over the next couple of seasons. Otherwise, why walk into one of the NFL's toughest secondaries to crack? The other fascinating part is how perfectly his skill set potentially fits what the Broncos defense values. Physical at the line, aggressive in coverage, quick reactions, strong ball skills. That's exactly the type of mentality this defense thrives on. Even though his weight concerns scared some teams away, Denver may believe they can maximize his strengths while developing his body over time. And if that happens, Broncos country could look back at this signing as one of the steals of the entire offseason. Meanwhile, the E.J. Warner storyline keeps getting more attention simply because of how unique it feels. The pressure attached to carrying the Warner name is enormous, but there's also something really compelling about watching another undrafted quarterback attempt to build his own path in this league. Nobody is saying he's about to walk in and suddenly become the next franchise quarterback. But minicamp is about opportunities, and if he flashes enough arm talent and enough understanding of Sean Payton's offense, you never know where that can lead. One thing that absolutely stands out is how quickly Sean Payton evaluates quarterbacks mentally. Physical tools matter, but decision-making matters even more in this offense. That's why the interception numbers for E.J. Warner are going to follow him everywhere during camp.